Hello guys! Welcome back to my channel once again. This is GinVill's TV. So, ang video natin ngayon guys ay may konting update tayo kung bakit hirap kaming umuwi, hirap kaming magbakasyon kaming mga OFW na andito sa Hongkong. So, sa lahat ng mga OFW na nandito sa Hong Kong at sa mga OFW sa buong mundo, mega love shoutout po sa inyong lahat. Kamusta po kayong lahat? Ayan. So, ayun guys, mag-update tayo ngayon sa lagay namin dito sa konting update lang kasi hindi kami makauwi at hirap makauwi. So, yun ang pag-uusapan natin ngayon. Yun ang aking ihahatid sa inyo. Charot. Ayun. So, bago ang lahat guys, sa mga hindi pa nakapag-subscribe sa aking channel, baka naman mag-subscribe na kayo at pindutin nyo na rin yung notification bell para ma-notify kayo every time na mag-upload ako ng video dito lang sa aking channel. Ayun, thank you so much guys. At ayun na nga guys, pag-usapan natin kung bakit nga hirap kaming umuwi at bakit maraming hindi nakakauwi ng Pilipinas. Pwede naman kaming umuwi pero dapat i-take namin yung rest na hindi kami na makabalik ng ganun kadali kasi alam naman natin dahil sa pandemic ngayon is kadalasan ay nasa stranded, kadalasan ay mga walang flight. Maraming bansa ang na-surprise sa nangyari ngayon sa Hong Kong dahil sabi nga nila 2 years pa lang bago itong 5th wave na virus na tumama sa Hong Kong na tinatawag nila na Omicron is handa na yung Hong Kong. So ngayon guys, pakinggan natin ang panayam ni Alkera Rainfrank sa government pandemic advisor dito sa Hong Kong na si Dr. David Ho. Ayan, pakinggan natin.
Colleagues in Hong Kong who performed some mathematical modeling, they predicted that by April, the number of cases may come down to about 3.
So ayun, nag-aano sila guys na ma-meet nila yung by next month is ang inaano nilang goal nila is ma-meet nila yung bababa by single digit, double digit, and then 3 digit sa sunod. Next month na yun sa sunod naman. So sana naman ay ma-meet nila yun.
And then by May, it may come down to double digit.
Hong Kong has the highest COVID-19 death rates in the world at the moment. Why has Hong Kong been hit so badly by this wave?
Well, the 5th wave is due to Omicron, and it all started in December last year.
So, ayun nga guys, nag-start siya nung December, no? It's December last year.
Started by Cathay Air crew who did not comply with home quarantine.
Nag-start lang siya ng yung flight attendant na hindi siya nag-home quarantine pagkadating niya dito sa Hong Kong. And
they actually led to community outbreaks. And then in January, the outbreaks was actually spreading even further by a returning traveler infected with the more transmissible Omicron BA.2. And then it so happened in early February, we also had the Chinese New Year holiday. And there were a lot of family
So ayun,
gathering.
tumaas siya guys nung yung January, marami ang bumalik galing bakasyon nung January, and then nasundan siya na February. February is Chinese New Year nila dito, so maraming gathering. Ayan, pakinggan pa natin.
So the outbreaks continue to get worse. And another major factor is the sluggish vaccination rates, especially among the elderly. So this time we had a lot of elderly who actually passed away because of their old age and a lot of pre-existing comorbid illness.
Ayun, so ang isang reason pa guys, sabi nga ng advisor na si Dr. Hono, ang isang reason pa kung bakit maraming namatay at maraming naging infected dahil sa vaccination. Kasi yung iba kasi hindi nagfa-vaccinate, tapos yung iba naman it happened na kulang yung nila, but this time mayroon ng sapat ata na
What really is the main difference, do you think, between say the first 4 waves and this wave that we're seeing now? Like, why has this wave really taken hold compared to say even the last wave?
Well, Omicron is a lot more transmissible compared to other variants. it is at least 4 times more transmissible even compared to Delta. And
Oh, di ba guys, sabi ko, ang Omicron talaga is ano siya, mabilis siyang makahawa. Mabilis siyang makahawa. Kaya mas naintindihan ko si amo pag sabihin niya, stay home lang ako. Kaya ito pang 7 days, pang 7 holiday ko na hindi ako lumabas. Well, it's okay lang. Kasi para naman din sa akin yun.
And the fact that the vaccination rate is so low among the elderly, when they become infected, they get complications, respiratory failure with a high case fatality rate. So if we look at the recent figures, 91% of the deaths, of the fatal cases, only receive 0 to 1 dose of vaccine. So the case fatality rate is about 1.75%.
So yung mga guys, yung mga namatay, yung 91% is walang vaccine. Okay.
But in contrast, those who have received 2 doses, the case fatality rate was only 0.07%.
A lot of people are saying that Hong Kong had 2 years to prepare for this wave, watching what was going on in the rest of the world, but didn't do enough. How do you respond to that?
Well, indeed, we do not have enough isolation facilities, testing capacity to deal with the big 5th wave.
O, di ba guys, sabi ko sa inyo, 2 years handa na itong Hong Kong, pero sa mabilis na pagtaas ng mga cases is talagang nagiging affected sila. Shock din siguro, kaya ngayon, punuan lahat. Hospital, quarantine facilities nila is punuan. So, ayun, pakinggan pa natin.
And that was actually quite unexpected.
What can the government do now amidst this 5th wave to actually start to bring down numbers?
Well, at the moment, we only have about 60% of the elderly aged between 70 to 79 who have received 2 doses of vaccine. And among those elderly aged 80 years plus, only 30% have received 2 doses. So we must vaccinate these elderly as soon as possible. And government is also trying to increase the number of isolation facilities and hospital beds, and also ramp up the testing capacity. I guess when the 5th wave is coming down to, say, around 3-digit.
Nagawa nila lahat dito ng government, doing their best talaga. Gumagawa sila ng paraan para magkaroon pa ng more quarantine facilities and sa hospitals din.
If it doesn't go down any further, then the government may actually introduce compulsory community testing together with a kind of lockdown, stay-at-home order.
In your opinion, when should we be looking at introducing mass testing, and do you think a lockdown is really the only answer to reducing the numbers?
If the number of cases goes down quickly, then there may not be a need to do the compulsory community testing. But on the other hand, if the number is staying around 3-digit, not going downward, then I think the compulsory community testing together with a lockdown would be important. By saying lockdown, I'm not saying that everybody has to stay at home, not allowing to go out. We still allow the frontline healthcare workers, essential workers, to go to work. And every household, there may be one member that is allowed to go shopping.
Option pa lang siya kung hindi daw bababa yung cases kasi patuloy ang pagtaas. Malinaw naman doon sa sinasabi ng ni Dr. Ho na ang lockdown na yun ay hindi siya lockdown na as in lahat ay mag-stay sa bahay.
So a degree of lockdown would help reducing the transmission in the community while the compulsory community testing is being conducted.
At hindi pa ito ginagawa nila yung lockdown dito, pero yung mga tao is talagang panic buying kaagad sila. So pakinggan
The
pa
daily
natin.
caseload is sitting anywhere between 30,000 to 50,000 a day. Do you think this figure is a true representation of COVID cases in the city, and how high could it actually be at the moment?
I think the number mainly reflect the PCR positive cases. In recent weeks, a lot of people actually rely on the rapid antigen test to confirm the infection. Now, a lot of people may not report their result to the government because of lack of incentives. So only those who need the documentation to get medical sick leave.
Oh, totoo po 'yun. Hindi po lahat ng nag-test dito sa Hong Kong, hindi po lahat ng nag-positive dito sa Hong Kong is nire-report nila sa government.
Will report. So I think we have to observe for another week to see whether we are actually in the peak or whether we are in the plateau part of it, or whether we are starting to come down. At the moment, if you look at the restricted testing, about 10 to 20% of the specimens are actually positive. So if you take the average, maybe 15% of the population is already infected.
But is this not a flaw in the system if, we do have such a large percentage of the population, or even just a certain percentage of the population not reporting their testing, especially if we're still following a COVID or aiming for COVID zero?
Yeah, now this is a voluntary kind of reporting. There's no way that you can actually supervise and get the results. So I think the lack of incentives means that some people in the community may not report the results. So we may not see the true number of infection.
Do you think at this time, realistically, we can still aim for COVID zero? Is that still possible, or do you think the government need to be looking at potentially living with the virus?
Dynamic zero COVID strategy is actually a national policy. But this is only a measure to buy time to improve the vaccination rate.
Yung sinasabi nilang dynamic zero policy, zero cases is talagang napaka-imposible na, pero ang government dito sa Hong Kong is talagang ginagawa niya yung para ma-meet niya yan, pero sa nangyari ngayon sa Hong Kong, imposible na siya. But God knows na lang, no?
As I mentioned before, a lot of the elderly in Hong Kong have yet to receive the vaccinations. And even in the mainland, they were relying on the inactivated whole virus vaccine before. And there are also limitations with this vaccine, as you know. The antibody level dropped too quickly. So I think once the mainland actually improve their vaccination program, and preferably, hopefully when there will be a second generation vaccine available in the middle of the year, they may revise their national policy. So by then, when the vaccine program is actually more protective, I think there would be some time that the national policy may change. And gradually we will move to another direction.
David, thank you very much for your time today. I know you're very busy.
Thank you.
So, ayun guys, narinig natin yung interview ng isang reporter, no, na si Alkera sa si Dr. Ho. Sa mga OFW, sa mga domestic helper na katulad ko na andito sa Hong Kong, pag sinabihan kayo ng mga amo ninyo na stay at home, so sundin na lang po muna natin kasi para din yan sa atin. Maraming salamat sa panonood. God bless po. See you in my next vlog. Thank you.